If you won $1 million today, what would be the first thing that you'd buy? Put your answer in the comment section down below and let's get on with the video. Starting it off here, I want to bring up a couple of numbers. And the reason I am doing this is not to further solidify any of my stories or theories, but rather to give you all some perspective into what is going on and partially about why crypto is really more important now than ever. Charlie Bilello, I think that's how you pronounce it, said on Twitter, new post, the one constant, more debt. And basically, it's a table here that shows what the debt has been looking like for the last couple of years. But in other words, really, how crazy the situation has been. Because as you can see here, it is like going from 1 to $27 trillion in national debt from 1981 till now. And, well, it is rather interesting if you take a look at it, how long there used to be in terms of increments before in every milestone and how short it could be right now, like a span of a month and things like that. So, all I'm trying to say with this right here, with this table, is look at how the debt is wrapping up. But of course, debt is nothing if you can't compare it to GDP and every other thing like that. So Paul de Jong also helped out and shared another article, or actually another picture, of the federal debt held by the public 1900 to 2050 with a percentage of GDP. Take a look at this, all right? WW1, Great Depression, WW2, Great Recession, pandemic. It is pretty damn crazy if you take a look at these numbers because it's not what has happened that makes this so odd. Because, I mean, we're just at an all time high a little bit again, but that's not that crazy. It's what is projected right now. And really, it is also the way that things are going. Because if you look at what has happened before, I mean, it's okay, right? It's okay. It went up, but it took some time. It is only getting shorter this time. All right, maybe not directly, but it's getting shorter piece by piece, and the debt is ramping up like crazy. And I think that problem of debt is going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And some say the only way out is through some very, very, very big change in national policy or some interest rates problems, or I guess options. I've heard so many different theories that I don't even know which ones are the most credible because I literally could not know how to fix so much debt. Especially understanding now that they want to make it more and more and more, but even providing more care to people, all right, by providing more of these bills. I think people need to understand that the more debt there, at least the more dollars that are out there, the less your dollars are worth. That's something very, very important to understand. And I explained it in my previous video as well. It's a circle that will always keep going around. That once people lose their faith a little bit because there's too much money in circulation, everything starts to go bad. And in the end, who's going to be hurt the most? You, the average Joe, the middle of the middle. It's really very often not the poorest, not the richest that are affected the most. It's most likely just the normal guys, the medium, the average Joe. And I know those words are a little bit strange to use, but that's really the way I like to see it. So, again, just to spread some awareness about what's going on in the numbers. The rest, I guess, yeah, I don't want to really connect anything to crypto in this sense further because I said why crypto is more important than ever. It just depends on your theory about it all. All right, some theories I've seen is that crypto could solve this problem, and that they're trying to create some currency to fill up some of the gap, to create some debt saver. Even some theories said that XRP would be something that would erase this debt. Now, I'm not thinking that's going to happen. I even just said I don't really understand how they're going to fix this problem because they seem to only be making it worse for at least the next couple of years. And it actually kind of does not look like they would ever fix the problem because otherwise it would not only get bigger over time. Now, with inflation, I guess if you take a look at 40 years in difference, then it's not necessarily, the line is a little bit less steep than expected, maybe, but still, from 1 to 27 trillion in 40 years, it's pretty damn big, guys. It's pretty damn big. Some of the conclusions are being drawn right here, but this is what I want to present. Moving further, though, Boy XRP posted something which was rather interesting. Not that important, but rather interesting. I can only imagine what Ripple can do and what it would mean to unleash the dollar with XRP. Fun times onward. And it's this right here. Regulators believe that faster payments will accelerate economic growth. If a business is paid in real time, it will be able to speed up its cash conversion cycle, generate necessary working capital, and reduce its need for expensive short term financing. In addition, modernizing a country's payment system may attract foreign investment, which in turn drives economic growth. Reducing the use of cash instills a formal economy where governments can benefit from related taxes. The Federal Reserve Bank stated that a near real time payment capability may ultimately be a beneficial improvement to the financial system or the payment system that supports economic activity in the US and maintains the US dollar as a currency of choice for global trends. Other strategic factors: disintermediation threat from new entrants. Banks recognize that they risk being disintermediated, losing account relationships, losing revenue from selling in depth consumer analytics to marketers, and ultimately losing business to competitive new entrants. For example, in the digital person to person space. And conclusion: one thing is certain, it'll be important for the industry to work together and to come up with ways to make this work. Legacy and new models will need to coexist both at a domestic and cross border level, and for banks, interoperability will be essential. So this comes from Swift, all right, the Swift Payments white paper on real time payments. However, a couple of points of this are really interesting, and that's mostly the last conclusion here. Old and new systems will work together. Well, we know that Ripple and Swift do have a couple of ways in which they can cooperate. I mean, they have kind of the one solution which can be used together. Another part is interoperability will be essential. Well, we all know what Ripple's main priority is, and a good chunk of it is interoperability, so that's also kind of cool. And just the idea that cross-border payments are also kind of feared upon by the banks. At least I guess the newer technology is being feared upon by the banks. Those stuff are all cool to kind of read up upon. Kind of interesting. Two more, I guess. I didn't read these. While they figure things out, we sit back and enjoy the show. I don't know what these two are about. Let's quickly read through it, I guess. Well, this is by Brian Brooks. It's at Mark 40 of a podcast. Well, I think there's a number of them. I mean, some of them are regulators, but some of them aren't. Some of them are sort of payment consortiums and other things like that. So I would start with, you mentioned Chris Larson earlier. I'd start with the Swift network. Chris' whole business is basically designed to disrupt Swift because Swift is slow and makes a lot of errors. Now, this statement does not really work anymore because we saw a little bit earlier today that Brad Garlinghouse has said, we're builders, not disruptors. So I don't know, that one doesn't really follow along with me too well anymore, but alright. A lot of chargebacks come across Swift. That's an embedded interest that has to either adopt this or die at some level. And so I think that's really important. And blah, blah, blah. We think about Visa and MasterCard, which are the main electronic payment rails for the last 40 years, but they're pretty clunky. Chargebacks are high, fees are insane. You're paying 6% interchange fee to take an American Express. That's a big deal. Paying 3% to accept MasterCard and Visa, that's a big deal. Crypto tokens can do that for 20 basis points. Imagine if you could achieve a 95% cost reduction by using a better technology. But there are deeply embedded stakeholder interests that get disrupted by that. So they have to be brought along in some other way in order to figure that out. So what I think about MasterCard in that sense is MasterCard really has the choice to either adapt newer technology and lower those fees, or just go on with this fierce battle that they've already been doing. Right now, it is in MasterCard's best interest if crypto does not get main adoption, because there's a good chance they won't really do that well anymore. With that said, though, it's not completely true. To a certain degree, MasterCard is also the biggest benefactor, whatever, the guys with the biggest benefit in crypto getting mainly adopted for the reason that I just stated. All right, the fees must be reduced. Well, another thing with those fees is right now it is very annoying to switch over your dollars or fiat to crypto or the other way around, and there's often pretty long waiting times and fees and things like that. MasterCard possibly could introduce cards, or maybe already has some cards. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And Visa in that same aspect as well, that allows you to just spend your crypto on the card. They'll still take a cut if you pay for something or do things, but now it's just in a crypto sense or fashion. So, yeah, that's a little bit double. XRP Max has just posted a pretty interesting tweet. Source, Ripple website, and what I just read from here is the fact that XRP is a staggering 61,000 times more efficient than Bitcoin. So I didn't know where to find this on the official Ripple website. At first, this number used to be 53,000 or something like that, though, right? So that has changed. And that made me think, is this all because of what they've been saying right now in terms of the decarbonization and the making everything more efficient, that they've already tried now for a little bit and already made it so that it is 61,000 times rather than 53,000 or 56,000? I don't remember the number. Or is this just they've put some different number, different calculation, and that's basically that? I didn't really know, but I was thinking about it, though. Pretty interesting. Then one fun thing, Lemon Way, Leonidas had those facts a couple months ago. Pretty interesting to take a look at that. Brett Gollinghouse just posted on Twitter like 5 minutes ago, strongest internet companies built in the US, in part because of regulatory clarity. We have that up with blockchain plus digital assets opportunity. Responsible players like Ripple aren't looking to avoid rules. We just want to operate in a jurisdiction where the rules are clear. DCEA of 2020. Ooh, ooh, ooh. This is very interesting to come out. Damn. Michael Arrington also posted, good for Ripple. The lack of clarity in crypto is a disaster for the US. And one thing I would like to add here is that Ripple has been talking with regulators for years, right? So for them to come out and say, yo, what's up, make it clearer, shows me that they've never come to any great conclusions that are positive in all these years and all these talks. Yeah, and I'm also wondering why the US is not making a clear rule book. What are they waiting for? Are they waiting for China to post one out so they can make it better afterwards? I'm like, why would they not just make a regulatory framework? And then if China makes one that's even nicer than theirs, just add it to be even more nice. Or something along those lines. Like, what could they be waiting for, though? What is the point? Maybe they just want to make it as harsh as possible, but they have to wait for other countries to do it so they can know where they should stand. Or I don't know. I really don't know. Walmart and key Ripple partner extend their relationship. MoneyGram extends its long-lasting partnership with Walmart for 3 more years. Yeah, that's the connection with Ripple, of course. That's pretty damn good to see. And also, billionaire Chamath shares his take on Bitcoin and asteroid mining. He claims that Bitcoin could create enormous power redistribution, which is a really interesting thought as well if you start to think about it. Polyhapitia has once again weighed in on Bitcoin, claiming that it could recreate or create an enormous wealth redistribution. I'm sometimes still thinking about that and how far that is true. It could also make trillionaires, though, and that thought is also still there. The first trillionaires could be made from crypto. So yeah, but guys, that was it for today's video. I think we did a good job, covered some crazy subjects, covered some crazy insights. This billionaire talk, the trillionaire talk, it is always interesting because there's often talks of people saying that no, we will never get to people with $1 trillion in our lifetimes at least. or no, crypto could never get a market cap of XXX dollars. And I'm like, wealth is really made out of thin air, really, right? It comes from somewhere, but it's not like you can just touch it, sort of, or something like that. Like, it's not like Bitcoin could not just create value out of thin air, like wealth out of thin air. It could. And there's literally no cap for it. It could go to $10 bazillion. I know that's not something that's real, but you get me. And there would be no cap for it. Why? Because people don't necessarily need to really be able to afford it. I mean, those prices will most likely be in a good ratio to what people could theoretically speaking afford, but it doesn't have to. All right. A good example of this is if I were to make my own coin right now, and I would have 10 coins out. The price of those coins is $1,000 each. All right. And all of a sudden, I add another 10 coins. All of a sudden, global wealth has gone from 10 times 1,000 to 20 times 1,000. Do you guys get that? The only way it's going to change now is if the price per one goes down. But of course, there's a discrepancy there because that takes time. If I create coins out of thin air, it might happen nearly instantly, but that would still have created some massive wealth because, well, for an instant, wealth in this world was doubled. And let's say there were 10 coins out, but I create 10 billion of them now, then all of a sudden, wealth has gone to an unprecedented level. Of course, those scenarios are quite unlikely because prices would adjust rather quickly, but there are ways to circumvent that, theoretically speaking, right? And there are ways in which it does occur. And also, from a different perspective, money is also just being made out of thin air by the Federal Reserve. And if you think about it in that regard, you know, it's like it's all the same thing. It's just in different places. But all right, guys, that was it for today's video. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. And I would definitely see you guys again in another crypto video. Don't forget to follow me over on Twitter and make sure you subscribe to the channel.